be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods, Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Thursday, July 14th, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. At this point, we're just under 3 weeks out from the Tampa Pro. And if you're an Akeem Williams fan, well, that means that the countdown is officially underway, because it looks like the Brooklyn Beast is about to bring his talents down here to the Sunshine State for his season debut. To a certain extent, Akeem's been flying so far under the radar this year that he's almost been like a forgotten man, because there's been so much that's happened since he pulled out of the Arnold way back in February that you almost forget that people were targeting him as one of the early favorites heading into Columbus. We all know that when Akeem is firing on all cylinders at the top of his game, that he has the potential to be one of the top 10 bodybuilders on the planet. So if he shows up in Tampa dialed in and ready to go, then the rest of that lineup might be in some trouble, because a 100% Akeem Williams is as tough as they come. Now, let's just assume that Akeem Williams comes in at his best and lands himself a spot in the first call-out. Then he turns his head, maybe he looks to his left or to his right, and he sees Quinton Eriya standing right next to him, locked and loaded and ready to go. And then all of a sudden, he might start to think to himself that this one might not go as smooth as he thought. According to reports, Quinton and his team are planning to make Tampa his second stop of the season after he competes at the IFBB Vancouver Pro next weekend, where a lot of people see him as the primary threat to Ian Valliere. But here's the thing, if Quinton can use the week or so in between Vancouver and Tampa to tighten things up and reformulate his attack, then he could be in a prime position to slide in there and walk away with this one, regardless of who else is on stage. If you're a Brett Wilkin fan and you've been sitting around wondering what his status is now that he's in his mid-season/off-season limbo, you're probably all sorts of happy right now, because last week Brett hit the stage as one of the featured guest posers at the NBC Twin Cities Open, and it gave us a good look at what he's been keeping under wraps for the last few weeks. According to Brett, his weight was somewhere in the neighborhood of 275 to 280 last weekend, and he says that he's looking forward to seeing how things progress over the next few weeks. We all remember back at the start of the season when Brett was one of the most talked about athletes heading into the IFBB Arnold Classic, and seeing him this big in this sort of condition was a big part of the reason why. His best days on stage are definitely still ahead of him, but the real question is, are there any of those days still ahead of him before the end of the 2022 season? Which is something that we won't know until this whole thing is all said and done. I don't think we've talked about the NPC USA Championships at all on this show yet this year, but it is one of the biggest pro qualifiers of the season. And anytime you get a show with this many athletes, you're bound to get some people who have incredible, inspirational stories like the one we have for you today from middleweight title contender Brandon Bebo Noe. He grew up in Brooklyn in a rough neighborhood under rough circumstances, and instead of letting that define him or dictate his path, when he was 15 years old, he decided that he was going to live by his own terms, and he used bodybuilding as his vehicle to do that. When you come from where he's from, and you've overcome the things that he has to this point, you don't view contest prep as a chore. You view it as a blessing, because you know what it's like to go to bed hungry at night, and you know if you have the passion and the perseverance to get through it, that better things are waiting for you on the other side. And when you can step on stage with that sort of mindset and use your platform to show other kids like you that there is a way out, earning your pro card isn't the end game. It's only the beginning. Because now that you've paved the way, you have an opportunity to do even more good by helping people channel their purpose the same way that you did. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.